What do you think of when you think of Earth? Lakes up in the mountains? Animals in their natural habitats? Or huge, vast, empty expanses of nature? All of that is changing. In 1900, 2 out of every 10 people in the world lived in an urban environment. It's predicted, however, that by 2050, 7 out of every 10 people in the world will be living in an urban environment. With that increase in people comes an increase in industrialization. In order to keep up with fast numbers of people moving to cities, more cars must be produced and more buildings must be made. These technological advancements have led to one of the greatest feats in modern human history, the creation of these huge cities. But there is a drawback to this industrialization that reaches far beyond these cities themselves: climate change. But when people say climate change, what do they really mean? Most of the time, people are talking about the greenhouse effect. This is Earth. Factories, cars, deforestation, and livestock farming all cause greenhouse gases, such as CO2, to be released into the atmosphere. These gases then trap the heat from the sun in our atmosphere, increasing the global temperature of Earth. Not only does this have major detrimental effects to our polar ice caps and our oceans, it can also cause droughts and violent storms. In the fight against climate change and pollution, the most recent and most talked about were the protests at the Standing Rock Native American Reservation over the Dakota Access Pipeline. Taylor Borby, the editor of the anti-fracking book Fracture, visited the protests during their early beginnings.
It was really moving to be there to see the blockade where the pipeline was running about a mile north of camp, to see what type of art and flag and protest site had been created, talking also about clean water, clean air, the rights of future generations. It really opened up my perspective in a way that I couldn't imagine. I mean, this is a part of the country that's settled by passive-aggressive Norwegians and Germans from Russia, and it became the largest protest site against the Dakota Access Pipeline. I never would have thought that Western North Dakota would have been a place of resistance.
In 2014, now President Donald Trump referred to climate change as bullshit, and in the infamous 2012 tweet referred to climate change as a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese. These quotes from our president signal a worrying time for many in the fight against climate change.
Yeah, well, it's not only overwhelming to high schoolers, it's overwhelming to all of us. That's certainly true. So what I would say to younger people is really finding group conversations to start having. I think the arts are really an exciting way for young people to start expressing their viewpoints, to start being creative, to talk about the risks or the worries about the future. I mean, climate change isn't a future thing. Climate change is here. I mean, when we were walking over, it's a beautiful day. You wouldn't even need your jacket. It's the 1st of March in Ames, Iowa, and there's no snow. This is different from my childhood 20 years ago, where we would have 4 distinct seasons, and that's a short period of time. So I think for young people, it's particularly important for us, by which I say someone who's not ancient yet, but even people older than me, to be hearing your voices, to be hearing your concerns. In our Constitution, it gives us the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But that happiness factor is going to be more difficult when we enter the fray into climate change, when sea levels continue to rise, when having clean drinking water is no longer a guarantee. I think it's really important for young people to be finding ways to share their stories and finding ways to talk in public about the type of future they want. You know, in Ames, when we first started talking about the Dakota Access Pipeline, it would have been incredibly moving to have some high schoolers stand up and talk about their future. Because so much of the time in the environmental movement, we talk about grandchildren, people who might not even be born. But for you and anyone you go to school with, you'll be around for hopefully the next 60 or more years. This is going to be your life. And I think that shifts conversations, especially in public, when we have to look at you and realize the path that we're on is going to hurt you. That is a different way of thinking than how we've had to think before.